I just catch the eyes of individual black people, especially black men, and we're talking about certain specific things. I catch the eye, and I saw vulnerability in a lot of black men's eyes that made me cry, because you don't get to see that. It's just them just like, in that moment, it's just like, it chokes you up, because you're like, rah, like we're all feeling the same thing, we're all going through the same experience, and we're processing it in this strange way.
John Boyega.
What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
Yeah, I feel slightly like I'm Jada and you're Will, and we're going to talk about entanglements or something.
Oh, man, yeah, the setup is a bit...
The setup's a bit serious.
Yeah, it's a bit, but serious in that, but it's all good.
How have you been? That's the first thing I wanted to know. I mean,
Good.
It's been a challenging time for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. Do you feel like you have been were you kind of equipped? Did you have the temperament for this kind of enforced isolation, enforced time off work? How are you with solitude and things like that, and how have you coped?
I think I'm good with it. I'm a balanced person, so you know, if I go for a night out and there's a lot of people there, I need, you know, at least 2 weeks of my own isolation. So I guess I've been all right with it, but I think for everyone, it's the extended time. It's been mad. So it's actually a long time not to see family, friends. So all of that has been a process, and then obviously, you know, as we go along this process, so many different things and news happening, you know, all over the world. Trying to figure all of that stuff out. But it's been good. I can't complain. I actually, in comparison to a lot of people, I can't complain.
And in terms of getting back to work, have you been kind of chomping at the bit to get back, or were you kind of...
Nah, I've been cool. Well, to be honest, because two sides to obviously my work now as a producer, and then obviously as an actor, producer, the work doesn't stop, because obviously we're developing behind the scenes. So I've been able to do that at home, and obviously have the employees out the office, and then have them, you know, working from home as well. So that has pretty much taken up all my time. And then, like just literally last week, I wrapped on Steve McQueen's Small Axe.
Oh, of course,
I have experienced what it's like to shoot in a coronavirus set.
Did you feel any rustiness when you were back on the set, or were you kind of...
No, it felt good. It felt good to be back at it, to be honest. It felt good to be back at it. It felt good to be back on set with Steve, because we had shot a bit, you know, before. We just, you know, having a little bit of an extension shoot. So it's good to be back in the vibe, but it was weird, because you see people and you can't interact.
Yes, so, still getting used to the world of the elbow bump.
Yeah. I like the elbow bump though.
I quite like the elbow bump.
Yeah, because I can't lie, even before coronavirus, I was like, all this random shaking hands, man. Come on, man, let's slow that down.
You're not going back. You're going to seize the opportunity.
Back. Yeah. At least I can pay my respect like that.
That's true. Cool. One of the things that did happen throughout this period, and I want to, celebrate. Sorry, let me start again. One of the things that did happen throughout this period, and congratulate you feels like the wrong terms, but your speech at the Black Lives Matter protest, I want to just commend you for using your platform in such an amazing, powerful way, and the way that you spoke, from my point of view personally, and you only need to see the reaction to it, but to see somebody being so eloquent, but showing vulnerability, showing the passion that we all felt, and to be in that moment, it's, you know, I've almost got chills just describing it now.
Appreciate that, bro.
What was it like for you? Like, kind of, what are your recollections of the day, of that moment? It was, you know, walk me through.
I think things were bubbling that week in terms of protests, and online, a lot of people that I'd been following, or you know, mutual friends were talking about, you know, where everyone was trying to find out where the location for the protest would be. And I found out, my sister was online as well. Found out through Instagram there was like a little yellow and black notice card online, and then I just went. My sister booked the Uber. We went in the Uber, went down there, walked up. I was obviously masked, and so no one recognized me. So I think for the beginning, it was like three hours or so.
Was that personally for you quite liberating to be just...
That's my first protest. Like, I've never been to a protest before in my life. Like I've always, you know, you drive past central London, or you're going past Parliament, see a little group of people protesting, and you're thinking, you know, fair dues to you, man. I hope you get what you want. Do you know what I mean? But I've never been involved in it. But it was just, I can't even go into it, because it's something that I'm still trying to process in terms of where we're at as a people.
Yeah.
But one thing, you know, that is obviously clear is that we had enough.
Yeah.
And that's why I went. Because I was just like, I'm not doing nothing. I feel like I'm talking about it, I'm discussing it, you know, I'm debating, you know, I'm making some personal changes, but it's not enough. I'm not connecting with anybody, I'm not hearing other people's perspective, I'm not feeling it, you know. So I was just like, let me go down to this protest, see what's going on. I'll protest quietly, it's cool. Then it kind of...
That didn't pan out.
It kind of went a bit, you know, it went a bit mad after that.
So it was unplanned, it was completely...
Yeah, I mean, we had been, there was someone within the Black Lives Matter organization was just wondering whether I was gonna be there. And my assistant had been messaging her on Instagram, DM, and just said, you know, John's looking to come up, and just to make sure, and we just wanted to make sure we recognize the individuals that we had been talking to in the lead up, because of course Belly Majinga, there were other protests, other points, and they gave us kind of the information. But then when we got there, I think we were just in the park, and we were just waiting for Belly's family to come, and they had been taking a bit of time just because of the crowd. And then I can't remember who it was, I really can't remember, but just like, we're waiting for Belly Majinga's family to turn up, do you mind speaking? And I was kind of like, yeah, all right, cool. You know, I speak, and then whatever happened, it was just on my mind, but it was frustration from prior, like it was frustration from before. But then it was just like a moment where I was kind of like, well, this is an opportunity for me to say what's really on my mind. It wasn't just me as well, by the way, there were many people sharing their points of views on the megaphone, their experiences, obviously individuals who had faced racism in a quite extreme way compared with everybody else. Different perspectives, different ideas, all shared in one moment. But obviously, because I'm in Star Wars and all that. But it was.
Finn goes off.
I know. I was hoping they wouldn't see it that way, but it was just a moment for me, I guess, as an individual. That was just my first protest.
I think it's amazing that it was unplanned, because you put it so forcefully and so eloquently as well. Yeah,
I didn't have you know, I fair dues. I think some people need that planning. You know, need a speech in front of them, need, you know, something to articulate those words. But you know, for me, the emotion came out of. I mean, the videos don't do it any justice, because you guys are watching a video of me, but I'm there. You know, so my POV is completely different to you, and I just catch the eyes of individual black people. Especially black men, and we were talking about certain specific things. I catch the eye, and I saw vulnerability in a lot of black men's eyes that made me cry, because you don't get to see that. It's just man them, just like in that moment, it's just like it chokes you up, because you're like, rah, like we're all feeling the same thing, we're all going through the same experience, and we're processing it in this strange way.
Yeah, it was visceral,
but I had a lot of support, a lot of people that were there. You know, just a lot of support from people I wish I could remember everybody that came up to me, everybody I walked with, everybody that, you know, helped us in, because we had to take some streets, make sure traffic don't go in certain directions, make sure they hear us in orderly fashion, and to keep the crowd, you know, calm.
Yes,
you know,
so
many individuals.
Crowd control as well.
There was a youth that we were in Hyde Park, and we were going past the Dorchester Hotel, a whole crowd going down the road, and it was empty roads, and there was traffic coming in the opposite direction. So one of the group were told to go into the right-hand side, so we can really just, you know, make a point of this and stop traffic. And I'm thinking the oncoming traffic is going to be full of British people, going to be like, get out the way. As soon as the traffic stops, people are beeping. You just see cards come out, and they're like, you know? Like, it was just that moment of thinking, and a bus driver stopped his bus, you know, and was saying to us how much he has, you know, a mixed race grandkids and has a whole black Jamaican side of his family. And so he was just, you know, shouting to us in support. And some guy just jumped out of his car. He was driving a Golf, and he had like a couple of his boys in the car. And he jumped out, and he just saw me on while I was walking past. He just jumped out of his car and told his guy, he goes like, yo bro, get my car, man, drive my car home. I'm gonna go march. I was like, bro, you're just gonna leave your car in Hyde Park? He says, yes, bro, I'm gonna leave it. Let's march. He marched with me all the way to Parliament, and then left to go and get his car back.
That's amazing.
And share these blessings. So there was so many different people I met on that day.
Yeah. One of the things that you talked about, the support on the day, but the support afterwards as well, like people in the industry. And I think it was really important for you to say, your thing about, I don't know whether I'm going to have a career at the end of this. And I think for white people to hear that, to know that kind of, you know, as black people, you internalize, you can't talk about this stuff, you don't bring this up.
I think also, I think a lot of people will be like, you know, Hollywood is full of, the lefties, tree huggers, Hollywood is full of that, so they love it.
Yeah.
That's not my experience of Hollywood as a black man. Correct yourself. You ain't had my experience. And it's sometimes the ignorance of people that think that what you see in the media of any actor or footballer, represents the entirety of their experience. Oh no. You think you're gonna see what happens in the closed doors of Hollywood? Why would you see that? You know, that whoever's taking part in those kind of that kind of decision making is obviously from a place of power a lot of the times.
Is it something that you've felt?
Absolutely, it's felt and experienced, and even now we have individual actors now speaking up about certain people's names, individuals. You know, we've had high profile people who've been in big franchise films who are now speaking about directors or whoever who have sometimes used their power to silence and end careers of individuals. So I was just like, you lot ain't about to take me out like that. I'm gonna tell everyone. You know what I mean? That ain't happening to me today. I'm gonna make sure, because I just, in that moment, I'm thinking, I'm an actor in it. This is my first protest, remember that? All of a sudden, my first ever protest, my job at a first protest really is just to be following everyone, is to learn the process. But, on that day, it kind of switched. So it was pretty much overwhelming, but that was just to put it out there that, if that is the case, I see you. I see you. And if anything does happen in that case after this, then people also know, what's going on. But to have support, obviously, from individuals who are not like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, obviously, Lucasfilm, that's quite it's weird. Things have moved so quickly, but that is a big deal for these people to be coming out and sort of in support. It shouldn't be, because this is the kind of thing that people should be standing beside anyway. But was that a good thing to see? Like these, people like shouting at crowd, like, look, I want to work with him, with Charlie Brooker and Edgar Wright and Jordan Peele and people like that. Were there any people that reached out privately that you kind of, in the aftermath of it?
With Jordan specifically, but it wasn't even after the protest. I've been, in talks with him and met him and had a sit down in LA.
Oh, amazing!
So we've always had that, that connect and those kind of conversations. So for those individuals that I know, obviously, and my family and friends, these people are people that have shown me support before. So it felt like, of course they're.
Yeah.
And it felt good to have the support of those individuals. Definitely. Yeah.
You talked about the attention that you brought in Star Wars. Obviously, it seems like, light years ago now, but a Star Wars film did come out. It was a pretty big deal. A few. Yeah, and the final film, Rise of Skywalker, what are we, when this comes out, I think we'll be about 9 months out.
Yeah, time's going fast as well.
How do you reflect on it? This must be the first time for 6 years that it hasn't been part of your year, it hasn't been in the diary,
That's true.
Sort of been...
But mind you, I've had intervals during the process where, it was like a year off while they were editing, so I got a bit of sense of that. But for it to be long term, I'm still going through the process of finding it completely strange that I don't have to kind of base a birthday or a holiday on a 6-7 month schedule with Star Wars. But it's been good so far, and then obviously looking at the prospects of what's next has been exciting.
How do you, with that distance, obviously there's so much noise around the film and the final film and the end of the saga and people's discussions around it, and you only need to tweet like half a...
I only need to tweet okay.
And people leap on it.
Oh my gosh.
Start stripping those 2 letters for meaning, and this is what he means. So with that in mind, is it possible for you to just kind of, from a personal place, just be like, this is how I feel about it? Where are you, where's your head? Where's your head space?
It's not that deep. It's not. Like, honestly, these individuals, it's a double-edged sword as well, right? Because on one side, you want them to be passionate about it, you want them to debate it. I spoke to an exec that told me that, there's one thing about debate when it comes to, stories and an audience. If one person doesn't like the idea of the film and the other person does like the idea of the film, obviously they're going to be in conflict. He was like, John, how are they going to find out? I was like, I don't know. He goes, they both have to see the film. I'm like, Yeah, man. It's just about, it's just like, both of you have to see it to really get to your conclusions.
Exactly.
I'm like,
maybe see it again.
Yeah, see it again just to make sure you got the right point.
Settle the argument.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm like, I'm good with all those reactions. If it comes to me personally, it's not that deep, man. You don't know me like that. I don't know you. It's like, all just kind of like communicating within the realms of what's given to us, whether it's Twitter or Instagram.
Yes, yeah. And there's been lots of people are kind of crafting their own sort of future visions for Finn and what he's doing now, and I want to see you doing this, and talk of force sensitivity. Is it the same thing that you've kind of moved on in a nice way?
Definitely, and I think the moving on thing is what you have to do when the contract's out, guys. What do you want me to do? To be crying in the corner, waiting for the contract to be renewed? Nah. When the contract ends, it's like football, right? Footballers, contract ends in the team. You can't just keep on carrying wearing the uniform and turn up to the stadium. Come on, guys.
Let me
move on, because I have to. Contract's done. So it's just that process of moving on to other things. And obviously throughout the years, I've wanted to do, go into other genres, different types of characters, really just explore depth, and so this is an opportunity for that, and it came at a good time. But Star Wars is a platform that gave me the ability to even say that to you and say, well, I'm considering this and that. So can't even put it past that. It's such an amazing opportunity.
And I know you've got some memorabilia. Did you have to battle people for? What did you get? What's your proudest?
I've got everything. I was telling my sister the other day, like, if the acting thing doesn't work out, I'm just gonna sell these goods. Got Daisy to sign, got Oscar to sign, all different types of stuff throughout the 6 years.
It's like insurance.
It's like insurance. No other cast member done that. They ain't lived in the struggle. And I had to maneuver the thing.
Small Axe, you mentioned it. It seems like a unbelievably uncanny timing in terms of the things that people have been talking about, the things that people are talking about now, from Windrush to Black Lives Matter. Lay it out for people that don't really know that much about the project and your involvement in it and your place in it and what you can tell us about it.
I think Steve McQueen's just doing a very beautiful insight into Black lives and Black history, specifically Caribbean history in this country. The Windrush generation, when they were in their late 20s, what their experiences were like. Me specifically, I play one of the first Black Met officers, Leroy Logan, who came to the UK, joined the Met at a time where they were kind of to zero, Black officers. And imagine what he faced, on the beat, with his colleagues who didn't really understand the integration and the change of their world with immigration at the time. And that experience, discussions with his family, seeing how his the first generations who went to the country, the challenges changed. And for him, being in a position where you're trying to create change for your people by being in this position of authority so that they have someone in there that understands you, but at the same time, your people think you're a snitch, you think you're a sellout. So he's just living in the conflicts that I got to explore as an actor. Obviously, I wasn't there at that time, wasn't born. So for me to step into those shoes and gain some perspective, and Leroy is obviously, he's still about, young, handsome man doing his thing. You know what I mean? If you meet him,
was that daunting then, playing somebody who's still out
absolutely, because you got to show respect, to the experience that these individuals have had, and it's real history, and it's a history right now that's unraveling in negative ways and positive ways right now. So in maneuvering this, I speak to Steve all the time. We can't believe that we were shooting something like this. In fact, when people see the show, they're probably going to go, John got that from the protests. After the protests, they started filming that.
Don't understand anything about how.
They don't know I've been about it, and you're just getting tuned into what I've always been about. But this in itself will definitely bring some stories as part of our British history. To be honest, bring it to the forefront in a very dynamic way.
And that does. It seems like part of the wider conversations that people are having now throughout media and film and TV and talking about representation and this idea that, this is so timely, this is so of the moment, but the reason that it's timely is because this has been going on.
That's why it's timely.
And just to kind of bring it all back, what are your kind of hopes now? As you say, we're all still in it, we're all still processing all this, and we're all kind of having these conversations. It feels like the conversation was kind of being pulled from this way to that way, and it's about taking Fawlty Towers off, like, you know, the iPlayer, and it's about statues and whatever, and kind of people were deliberately trying to bring the conversation to kind of safer ground and sort of, you know.
Economic value, people.
What are your hopes and what are your worries?
I think we need to fixate on the positive. You know, wherever there's been a conflict in opinions, there has been, and that's an ongoing conversation. All those conversations are important in this. But right now, the biggest thing has been how everybody has joined together and increasing, especially black individuals, increasing your knowledge, especially as a consumer. Especially if you are an investor, especially if you are a teacher. I think people are trying to figure out ways of aligning their careers with their purpose to their people. And I think that needs to be an ongoing process. I think the stress of this as well is that some people saw people out there protesting and may have felt to themselves, you know, I'm not really doing enough. Yeah. One protest can't change the course of history. I think it's really about us going home, going back to our own individual lives and seeing how our careers, our skill sets can be beneficial to the next man, can be beneficial to us, and specifically for black people. We need our representations within the economy. You know, a lot of people talk about that and go, oh, you know, that also means you still have to have a foot in the main economy. You know, it's not going to be, you know, they're not mutually exclusive or anything, but it does mean we have a pot and a place in which you can see black individuals, black businesses getting the recognition and getting the customers that would be interested in their product and knowledge. You know, several people are sharing books. There's talks going on now that a lot of people are getting themselves exposed to. I'm starting up a school tour, which I had started before lockdown.
Oh, fantastic. The one in Southwark.
Yeah. So I'll continue to Lambeth and then come down to Camden and do all that. But it's really about insight and about roles and positions and giving people information about what the entertainment industry specifically can offer. Given that the entertainment industry, one film is like a small little town, which covers so many different jobs, you know, nurses and seamstress and all these people, and so for me it's a good time to really just explore that knowledge, explore that education, share, and then work together, find ways of collaborating. Can't one man make a success out of himself? I ain't seen him yet. So it's that bubbling after the protest, togetherness, unity. That's been the biggest thing for me, and really the redevelopment and the changing of our minds. You know, which is going to be the most important thing when it comes to true evolution.
Perfectly put. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Did you get that conditioner in your hair, by the way, earlier? You got that?
I got the sheen.
Yeah. We want to make sure both of us had the sheen.
I know.
You lot GQ want to do a sheen check.
Exactly. Never mind that. My mum will be like, why don't you put something in your hair?
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.